All right, guys, how's it going? Hope you're all doing super well. Today, I want to talk about something that a viewer asked me in a live stream recently about how I hit 3,000 iRating in iRacing. Now, for most, that's just a number, or it's probably an insignificant amount of iRating, but if you're a pro driver or something like that, and I understand. But for most of us normal folk, that's actually quite a big achievement. So maybe if you're interested, I could let you know what was the switch I did that allowed me to go from 2.3k iRating to 3.1k iRating in a matter of days. What was the switch that I flipped inside my head? I'm going to tell you that in this video. But first, I just want to say a joke. It's like, I was joking with my missus, being like, you know, once I got 3k, I was like, yeah, how does it feel knowing that you're with a 3,000 iRating iRacer? You should see the eye roll. It's just funny. It's sarcasm for those that don't get it. It's so funny to see the eye roll. You know, I'd be in the supermarket and I'd whisper to her, I'm like, these people don't know they're breathing the same air as someone with 3k iRating. The eye rolls are just worth it, you know. But it kind of talks to that thing of like, why do you care about iRating so much? It has no intrinsic value. Well, first of all, it's like a video game. We like to get higher levels. Very simple. So there's the video game element. It does carry value. The next thing is that yes, it is only a number. You shouldn't base your self-worth off of it. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. But it is a decent measurement of skill. You know, there's a reason pro drivers are 7, 8, 9k iRacing, and there's a reason crappy drivers are very low iRating. It's a very simple number. It's a zero-sum game. For someone to win, someone has to lose. If you've ever seen an iRating distribution chart, it looks a little bit like this. So it's very easy to see that if you want to race some fast people, how much people do you need to beat to get there? So, for example, if you do look at this chart, it says that if you're 3k iRating, you're in the top 5% of iRacers for that specific iRating, which then means that you have to do something that 95% of people can't do or won't do to achieve that goal. That gives it a little bit of value in my mind. So 6 months ago, what I did was I set the goal of being like, hey, I want to hit 6k or 3k iRating, 6k soon TM. I want to hit 3k iRating. And I was like, you know what? I can do it because I've smoked some 3k, 4k, 5k guys. I've smoked them, wiped the smile clean off their faces, not on a consistent basis. And as well, I had an excellent coach once, Marion. He's a super guy, get good racing, very encouraging guy. He's like, mate, you're driving at that standard now. Just keep it up. Just keep working at it because you are able to get to that standard. You just got to work a little bit harder and push a little bit harder. So I started to do that over and over and over again, but then I kind of like forgot why I was trying to do this. What is it that I need to do to get to the next level? And as you can see from this chart, I went from 2.3k to 3.1k in a matter of days. I just flipped the switch. So, all right, I had my motivation. I like sim racing and I've invested in it a tiny bit from what you can see. Why not do it well? Do you know what I mean? I want to race people I haven't raced before. I want to race fast people. I want to race people who give me a challenge. I want to drive at a standard that I haven't driven before. I want to be technical. I want to be good at something that I'm doing. And I want to drive in a way that facilitates all of that. That was my motivation. It's fun. It's my meditation. Racing is just fun to do. But I want to do it well, and I want to do it better than I did before. So no matter if you're going from 1k to 1.2k, or you're going from 500 iRating and you want to hit that 800 iRating, whatever your goal is, you could have a similar why. You just want to be better. You want to prove to yourself that, you know what, I have more performance inside of me that I can extract. And I'm leaving something on the table here. I don't want to do that anymore. That was my why. That was my motivation. So 3k iRating was like a vessel for that. If I could hit it, that would be, you know, a little confirmation of like what you're doing is right. You belong in top split. And you can race these super fast, cool guys who really put up a savage fight, and they can give you some really meaningful races. So what are the changes I had to make to do this? Now, actually, funnily enough, one of these changes was involving a F1 driver who made the same mistake, even like in the top levels in Red Bull racing, you know, which I'll tell you now in a minute. But like for me, it was just some simple, in case you haven't realized, by the way, this is a freestyle video. So I hope you got a cup of tea. I prefer scriptless videos because they're really, really fun. It's just the two of. But yeah, the changes I had to make, they were quite simple and I had to execute them. I had to find the root cause. I had to take a look and be like, look, why am I able to race people who are 3.5, 4.5k iRating? I'm able to hang with these guys. Why am I 2.3k iRating? And it obviously is because I'm not converting results. I'm not finishing in good positions. Simple. My average finish position isn't good enough to put me to that level where I can consistently show up in top split and attempt to wipe the smile off some of their faces. That's why we do it, guys. You know, wiping smiles off faces. So I needed to produce better results. Simple. I needed to change the way I viewed the race, which I did. You know, I'd qualify better. That's the first thing. I was getting involved in mid-race incidents. It is Formula. You have a 20% chance you're going to die in every Formula race you go into. That's just how it is. It's high speed in fragile cars. There's a likelihood you ain't going to finish. That's fine. We all understand that. But how can I minimize that? So what I started to do was qualify a lot better. I started to really push my limits and qualify in the best position I could. I quickly realized that qualifying further up the field drastically reduced the probability that I was going to get into an incident. Like, amazingly, like, reduced. I could prove this because sometimes I would botch a qualifying session and then I'd end up in like P415 or something. And, you know, you would see some mid-pack battles that would turn into like full-on roadblocks of cars sideways. There's not much you can do to get away from that. But the people who qualify up front, these people are fast. And fast people want to finish their race. So although they're quick and they're bloodthirsty, they have respect. They understand we need to get away from the rest of the people behind. So fight hard, but let's not crash. You want to be up with those guys. You really want to be up with those guys. So qualifying in a good position is a huge thing that made a big change for me. Really putting in time to my quali and looking at my 1 lap pace. Just, am I able to produce a lap and perform when it's needed in qualifying? Turns out I was able to step that game up. So I've made a gain there. In the race, I had to look at my race starts and just being very conservative at the race start. You know, slowing down a bit more into turn 1, but not slowing down too much that I allow people by me or actually make a dangerous situation by slowing down too much. So really following the flow in turn 1 and analyzing what could I do better in turn 1 to allow me to get through turn 1 and then get into the groove and start chipping away at the time. So I focused on my turn 1 and just my race starts. I had a much better launch. I was getting perfect launches. So that's it. Quali was good. My launches were good. And getting into turn 1, I was pretty happy with. Hey, you can still be taken out in Formula. That's always going to happen. But I was trying my best. Then lastly, it's in the race. So I've spoke to you. I've done my practice. I've done a bit of practice before I've shown up. You know, I have all my settings dialed in, my force feedback and all that stuff. I have done a good qualifying. I've done a good race start. Now I'm in the race. Now, this is where it comes in. I got to get in that flow state. If you guys haven't noticed, I do a lot of commentary, live commentary while I race. I absolutely love it. And I used to do YouTube a few years ago, so I have quite a lot of experience doing that kind of thing. The way I do it is that I drive automatically. So I use that flow state or whatever you want to talk about. Imagine like a transcendental level of yourself that is able to drive without you thinking. That's kind of like a very consistent version of yourself, but for me, it's also the faster version of myself. Some people are able to drive very fast, not in autopilot. They drive deliberately. When I drive deliberately, I found I try and experiment and I try and push in weird places. I'm faster when I'm automatic, when I'm smooth and the times are replicable. And overall, in an entire race, I'm much faster, which is also good for you guys because that allows me to chat and basically have a whole nother level up here where I'm able to just kind of look around and just chat and all, while beneath that, I'm able to drive in that flow state. So it was very important for me to make sure I enable that flow state, get into it, and then get in that rhythm. You know, that rhythm that, you know, once you get through the first few corners, you feel all the cars there in a line. That's it. You're getting to work and then you just drive. So I had to focus on my racecraft as well. That kind of comes into that flow state thing. Knowing when to overtake, knowing when to defend and when not to defend and when not to overtake. Very important because I'm looking for points in iRating. You know, you'd think that positions are important, but they're not really. Getting to the end of the race as fast as possible is what really is. It's you versus the track. The other people are just obstacles, but like you're racing the track for 20 or 30 or 40 minutes or whatever it is. UV track, you know, that's pretty much it. Other people get in the way. You just got to negotiate them when you have an overlap. It's you versus the track. And that's the way I viewed it. And I kind of just cut through it that way. You know, I'd encounter people, pass them. Okay, I'll go back. You're out of my way. It's me versus the track. I'm doing my own thing. Yeah, sure. If they come back, you can defend and stuff. But if they start coming back and they start exhibiting faster pace, then you got to make a decision. It's like, will I let this guy by and just follow him and let him bring me up to the cars ahead? And then we'll sort it out when we get there. Making these decisions, looking at my risk management, trying not to get too fixated on one person, but viewing everyone as the opponent, including the track itself, kind of just managing how I view the race, kind of not so much from in the car, but from the top down and viewing my perspective. That was a pretty big change. It's hard to articulate that in a video, but it's just settling into a race and just accepting. It's like, yo, if I get like P7, P8, that's good. You know, I'm just going to do my best. I'm not going to push the car harder. I've done my practice. I know what the car can do, what the car can't do. Right. I'm just going to do my best. And it started working out really well for me, like super well. Like I started performing super well, getting excellent results. I was pushing people who are way faster than me, but I was just managing to get myself up there in those battles with the consistency, with the qualifying, with the race pace. All these things started coming together. I was working more with brake bias, you know, bringing it back just a little bit to enable more rotation, allowing me to turn in better. I've gotten super comfortable with brake bias. I can change it per corner in very rare circumstances where needed, such as Monza and stuff like that. I'm very confident with it. I'm not so much scared of it now, and it can give quite a lot of performance. And when you're able to feel that performance, it can really be advantageous. So yeah, brake bias was another big thing. Now, another thing, which I'll also do a disclaimer that they are actually a channel partner, is Trophy AI. Trophy AI is like a live AI coach, which will basically, like, if you go out and practice session for an hour, you can do like the work of 3 hours. It's like having a coach on your shoulder, which will push you and stuff. It's really, really interesting. Now, you can use whatever one you like, but personally, I use Trophy. As they are a channel partner, they supply it with me, and you know, I'd be lying if I said it didn't help me get there as well, because it will push you super hard. It'll let you know if you're braking too hard, if you're braking too soft, if you're hanging on, if you're turning in too late, if you're turning in too early. It's really like having a coach on your shoulder helping you out. If you're interested, there's links down below for free trials. I'm not going to over push with it, but I won't lie, and I will say that I have been using this tool more and more to let me know, am I hitting those minimum corner speeds, and to just reduce the amount of time I need to practice so I can get a little bit faster. And the most important tip, this is going to sound ridiculous, but the second I believed I could do it, like actually believed I could do it, like it was not like, oh, I know I can get 3K. It's like, no, I'm 3K. I just want to get up there, i.e. I want to race the fast people. I know I can do it. The second I actually believed I could do it was when all the stuff started falling in place. All that stuff I mentioned to you throughout the video, none of that was possible without me actually with this core belief being like, it's going to happen. I'm going to be able to get to this level, and I'm going to be able to stay at this level. It's the belief. The belief was a big thing, you know. Again, with Get Good Racing, Marion from there, a lot of friends and stuff like that who are kind of trying to show me a few things. They told me I'm driving way above my iRating standard. You just got to materialize results better, and you just got to look at, you know, you're getting involved in some stupid accidents and stuff like that. You got to look within and see what can you change. But that belief was really the catalyst that allowed all of the other cool things to happen. So yeah, it's a bit of a washy answer, I will guarantee that. But like, it's really, you know, results happen in the race. So I'm giving you advice of what happens in the race. It's really about your preparation, great qualifying, and then execute it in the race. I just wasn't doing it. I was being too lackadaisy going into races and just doing my best at the time-ish. I was kind of fed up with that. I want to do a little bit better, be a little bit faster, drive a little bit more on the edge. And to do that, you have to be a bit more intense, a bit more intentional. And yeah, so that's the crack. Guys, if you have any other tips on how you reached your iRating goals, I'd love to hear them down below, because I'm sure a lot of people would be keen to hear them too. I know we all have our own targets, but you know, if this video could help one person to have that mentality shift, the one thing I'd love you to know is that believe you can do it. You definitely can do it. Doesn't matter about your gear, doesn't matter what tools you use, you can do it. It's a mindset thing. It's how much work do you want to put in. It's up to you. It's a hobby, it's a skill. You know, you get what you give. So best of luck, guys, and I'll see you on the track.